Hello chicken people, I'm here in front of the hoop house and today we're going to talk about two different chicken topics. The flock is sort of milling about, but they've become bored with me. I've been here a few minutes and I'm no longer interesting, so yeah. Anyway, so it's about 40 degrees out, which is unusually warm, and we've just come out of a really cold period where everything was frozen. And tomorrow we're going to get snow, followed by another polar blast. So today is the day to get a lot of this stuff done that is just easier to do when it's warmer and when things have thawed out a bit. So the two things I'm going to talk about today: deep bedding in the hoop house and why we do it and what the purpose is. And then we're going to go into the coop and scrape the floor and clean that all up. And I'm going to have to do this in a little bit different way. I'm going to have to narrate it and then go in and show you and film that because I won't be able to talk and film at the same time as I'm doing it because I have to wear a HEPA mask when I do all of that. Chicken dust is very damaging to the lungs anyway, long-term exposure, but I have asthma and allergies, and chicken dust really sets my allergies off. So I don't go inside the hoop house or the coop without the mask. So hopefully my editing skills will allow me to put this all together, but I'm going to show you how we do both things, and yeah, and we'll have the chickens all set up for the next polar blast that's coming. All right, so deep bedding. Why do we do it? What is it? First of all, deep bedding is basically building up a layer of materials in the bottom of your animal structure, in this case a hoop house. And the purposes, has several purposes. The main one is to absorb all of the manure produced by the animals, and in this case chickens. Chicken manure in particular is very high in ammonia, and that is very corrosive to chicken lungs, people lungs too, but chicken lungs. And so by building up a layer of bedding, the chicken manure gets absorbed into the bedding, stirred up in the bedding with the chickens scratching and kicking, and it kind of neutralizes it. If done correctly, there should be zero chicken smell inside the hoop house, and that is my goal, is to keep putting enough materials down that when I come in or even stand outside, you cannot smell chicken. And so far it's been very successful for us. The other thing is once you build up a deep enough bedding, it actually generates a little bit of its own heat, which helps keep the hoop house just slightly warmer. That's obviously a benefit to the chickens because winters here in New Hampshire get very cold. So having a thick layer of bedding that is generating a little bit of its own heat, keeps them a bit more comfortable. The final bonus that we get out of this stuff is at the end of the year in the spring, when we move the chickens back out onto open pasture, we then scrape out all this bedding and put it into a big pile of to compost for about a year. We have to let it cook for a while, and then we can use that on our gardens, our vegetable garden and our flower gardens. So many benefits to doing deep bedding, and it's worked out really well for us. So today we're going to throw a few bales of pine shavings, which is the primary ingredient in our deep bedding. We just go to our local farm store and buy pine shavings, and a couple bales every few days, and that seems to be enough. In the beginning of the year, the season in the fall, we'll rake up leaves and throw those in, and the chickens really enjoy kicking around in the leaves. We didn't put in a lot of leaves this year, just didn't have time, but we've got a load of some oak leaves right now because the ground is pretty bare, and we're able to rake up some oak leaves and throw those in. So we're going to throw some of those in too. So you get to see the chickens have fun with that. Also, we're going to throw probably a partial bale of hay in. I generally don't recommend using hay for bedding because if that builds up into clumps, it can be moldy. It can become moldy over time, and mold is bad for chickens. But we do throw a bale or part of a bale in every once in a while just to keep the chickens, you know, busy and interested, and they love to scratch around and eat the seeds. And when it's mixed in with a large amount of other materials, it doesn't clump together and get moldy. So part of the bale of hay is going to actually be used in the chicken coop after we clean it out. Because of the impending polar blast, I want to cover the metal floor with part of the bale to keep the chicken feet off of cold metal when it's down well below zero. So we've added some materials to the deep bedding. We added 2 bales of shavings, pine shavings, and like 2 tarp loads of oak leaves from the side of the property just over there. As you can see, the chickens are really enjoying the oak leaves. They love leaves, and they'll spend hours just scratching and pecking and pulling things out of the leaves, and they'll work that into the bedding, and it'll all become great compost next year. So now that that step's done, on to my least favorite part. We're going to be scraping the chicken tractor. Again, I'm going to have to wear the mask when I go in there, so I'm going to be narrating after the fact what we're actually doing. But the synopsis is I'll go in there with my flat-bladed shovels and scrape the chicken manure into these kitty litter buckets, hand them off to my patient husband, who will carry them off out of the hoop house and that way toward the manure pile that we have going. Each year we build a new pile, and it gets turned over multiple times, and then once the pile is ready, it goes into the garden or spread into the flower gardens or spread on the lawn. We use it for a number of different things. Because it's winter and we're in the hoop house, we can't bring the tractor right up to the coop, which is what I normally do in the summer. I bring the tractor into the fencing right up to the front of the coop, and I can just shovel it right into the bucket of the tractor. Much easier. With winter, can't do that. Can't really bring the tractor in here, so we're gonna have to bucket it out. Thankfully, it's not that much. It'll only be like half a dozen buckets or so. So it'll go pretty quick, especially with the 2 of us. So let's get going. In the wintertime, I try to scrape this coop, I don't know, once every couple of weeks. It really all depends on the temperature. The temperature needs to be at or near freezing, above or near freezing, in order for this to soften up enough that I can scrape it. Lately it's been so cold that it's just been solidly frozen, and I haven't been able to get in for about 2 weeks, so it's a little bit thicker than I would like it. But today is the perfect day to come in and scrape this all up, and we'll get it all out and composting for use in the gardens next year. Here I'm taking a bale of pine shavings and I'm spreading it all over the bottom of the coop here. Now you're probably wondering why I'm doing that if all of it's going to fall through the metal grating. Well, that's the purpose. As I've been scraping all this chicken manure off of the floor of the coop, a lot of it has fallen through the grating and onto the ground below. And so every time I scrape the coop, I take a bale of shavings and spread it around, and it, covers up the poop underneath the coop. That way, you avoid smell, and you're building up a layer of deep bedding even under the coop. I'm taking a bale of hay now and spreading just a very thin layer across the bottom of the coop. I want to keep their little feet off of the very, very cold metal grating during this polar vortex, where we're going to be well below 0 Fahrenheit during the night and barely above 0 during the day. Metal and damp feet, I'm thinking that's probably not a good idea. So this will just keep the feeties off the grating. It's not really meant to insulate, but it probably offers a little bit of insulation. And then when the temperatures get back to normal winter temperatures, I will scrape all of this out and just throw it into the hoop house, and it'll become part of the bedding. All right, that's it. We're done. It's actually started raining right now, which just, adds to the fun. It's gonna rain a little bit tonight, and then tomorrow night it's supposed to snow. There's a big system coming up the coast. We're supposed to get a couple inches of snow, and then after that, the polar vortex, or whatever they're calling it now, is going to descend and throw us into Arctic temperatures. So I've got deep bedding fluffed up and new layers added on, and I'm being pecked by a chicken. Hey. And the coop is all scraped clean. I put in a bale of shavings to filter down through the floor and onto the bedding underneath the coop. And then I took a part of a bale of clean first cut hay and spread that on the bottom of on the floor on the metal grating to protect their little feet from the impending cold. And I will scrape that all out once the temperatures come back to normal winter temperatures. I won't leave the hay inside the coop. That'll all come out and become part of the bedding. And then as you can see, I took chunks, the leftover parts of the bale, I threw chunks in, scattered it across the inside here, and they'll peck and scratch at it for the next couple of days and spread it all over. It's kind of fun to watch. So that's it. I'm gonna go in and take all this off and put it in the laundry, take a shower, and get a cup of tea. And just take a breather. Thanks for joining me. I hope this was interesting, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.